Alright, this one might make you hate me, but I don't give a damn. Alright? Y'all hear that noise outside? I closed the window, but you probably can still hear the noise. Folks with OCD, you're probably gonna be hella mad. Not just even with this video, but with the noise outside. I can't control that. But you also, I think that's the perfect noise, actually. Not in general, but for this video, because honestly, a lot of y'all act as if though everything around you is in your control, or people have to capitulate to your obsessive compulsive disorders. Okay, now I am not trying to make you feel like you are a bad person for having OCD, whatever the level is, but what I will say is, dealing with people with OCD, and I can say that I'm to a certain extent, a little extent, I blame my zodiac sign, alright, my sun sign, my Virgo. You know what I'm saying? I blame that for that. But to a little extent, I can understand where the obsession of just having things done your way is. I can understand that. Trust me, I know. To an extent. I also understand mostly that the whole world doesn't revolve around me, my needs, my likes, my way of doing things. I bring this up because I remember one of the last projects I did with this job I work with from time to time. There's a guy on the job who he has, you can tell he has OCD, right? I think he's admitted it one time or whatever, but you can tell he's really like obsessive about just having things done his way, even when the people that we're working, like doing work for, state that they don't mind otherwise, you know, or that, you know, it's not a big deal even if it's done differently, right? He still will have it in his mind that because he decided to do it a certain way, everybody else then has to do it that way. Even, once again, he's not like, I could understand if it was a situation where we're doing work for him, right? And this type of work, you know, we work with rare books and things of that nature, right? We do cleaning at times, but you know, this situation, we were cataloging, I think it's what it's called, the rare books, inventorying, that's what it's called. We was inventorying rare books. Never doing that shit again, but nonetheless, we were doing that, and they have a system, they being the people we were working for at the time, again, the people who had these books that we were inventorying, right? They have a certain system, but because he went to school for this shit, right? He and the other people, they just called me because they needed an extra hand. I ain't go to school for this shit. This is not shit that I was interested in, but it's money. You know what I'm saying? And it was low maintenance for the most part. I mean, it was low maintenance, period. It was just, I just have zero patience for it, even if it was a low maintenance gig. But, you know, so he went to school for it, and whatever he learned in school is what he learned in school. Great, we get that. But they had their own system of how they did things, and that conflicted with what he had been practiced, what he had learned in school, and all the work experience he had prior to, you know, that certain job as well, right? I understand that. But he was so OCD to the point where it was like he wanted things to be done. He's not, this is not his project, right? He's working on the project, but it's not his project. But he wanted to do things the way that he learned how to do them because it was comfortable for him, which is great. But my problem with him was he wanted to then try to force, first of all, someone who didn't go to school for it, someone who don't have years of inventory experience in this shit. I'm the mover, you know what I'm saying? You want your stuff cleaned, moved, all that stuff, even shelved, I got you. But as far as just the actual like inventorying of the books and all that information, it's not my strong suit. I can admit that. I don't want it to be my strong suit. If I did, I would have went to school with it for it and had prior years of experience like him and the others, right? But he wanted me and everybody else to do it the way that he was comfortable doing it. Now, this is someone who, again, has experience like other people that we were working with had the experience. They wanted to do things the way that, the client wanted things to be done. Why? Because it's the fucking client and they have their way of wanting things done. And obviously, that's just what it is. But he was like, nah, it doesn't make sense because I learned it this way, right? This isn't the first time. This is the most recent time where his OCD has caused an annoyance in me, right? And others as well, but I'm the one speaking up about it, right? And I just want to say that, folks, again, you have your whatever, it's called a disorder, right? And I'm using that in quotation marks because honestly, I think that with even with OCD, you can use that to your strength. It's a strength. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's a disorder to the point where it's a bad thing. It can be like the example I gave where, you're just causing more work for other people. You're causing annoyances. You're just being a nuisance. You're being more harmful than you are helpful to whatever work that needs to be done, right? So that can be a problem, but I think in general, just having a set way of doing things and doing it, especially if it's worked in the past, I don't think that's a problem. Okay, so I want to clarify that before I get to the rest of this, all right? Because if you're not already pissed off, you're probably going to be pissed off by me saying this, right? The world does not have to capitulate to your disorder. You might have a way of doing things. You might have a system. That's great. The world isn't ran on your system, though. As I've noted, there are going to be people or companies that have a certain way of doing things, and you're going to find yourself in a position to where you're working for said system. Now, you can either decide to learn their system or say, I don't like this system. It's not how I prefer to do things, but you know what? I'm not going to do this for long. Or you can try to convince them why your system is the best system. I'm not even going to say which one is going to get the likely outcome because you just never know. But to simply just go at it with the point of, I have a system and I don't like, and my system disagrees with their system or the system, whatever the system is. And because it disagrees with it, my system is automatically right. Because oftentimes I've seen, especially with this dude, but other folks with OCD, when they have a system and it conflicts with the system that is in place, their system is actually the one that's fucked up. In this situation here. Not saying it's fucked up in general, right? But in this current situation, it is not the best practice to do whatever the task is. But you can't tell them that, because if you tell them that, you're being ableist. If you tell them that, and then it's all this other shit, you're not being whatever, right? You can't tell them that. And a lot of them, I feel as though this man is in particular, a lot of folks have throughout their entire life with their disability have been capitulated to. So when someone says to them, when they get out into the real world, let me put it that way, and someone says to them, actually, no, Donnie, that wasn't his name, but I'm just going, that's the name that just came to mind, right? No, Donnie, we're not going to do things your way. I understand you went to school for this. I understand your prior work experience. Y'all did things this way. That's great. You got this job because of your experience, right? Because of your knowledge. But I'm going to need you to do things this way. Just like you learned systems from your previous work, from your previous schooling, you can learn this system even if it's a 30-day project or so, right? You went to school for 8 years, you did all this work for 10 and all this other stuff. Surely 30 days is not going to be a problem, or should not be a problem for you when you spend well over 30 days learning a system. If you can learn something, you can learn something else. Is what I'm saying, right? So with that being said, like, I feel like a lot of folks with OCD have had things catered to them, right? People looking at my bed not being mad. You gotta make it like this. Why you got your bed like that? And even if I do make my bed, it's gotta be this way. Is it your bed, nigga? Is it your bed? Because I could have swore that $300, $400 for this shit didn't come out of your account, did it? See, if it didn't come out of your bank account, don't tell me how to make it. You know what I'm saying? With that being said, or when I should make it, if I should, you know what I'm saying? But you make your own bed, flip the burger to you the way you want to, and heck, even if it's a situation where somebody has their system in place. Because I can tell you right now, haven't followed everybody's system. There are times where I've been on a job, right? Whether it be this job that I'm talking about, or for the example that I gave, or some other job, and there was a system in place, and I said, this system sucks and I'm gonna do it my way. And the people didn't say anything. One, because they were probably scared, but also, and not just that, but because they're like, oh, he got the job done. We don't give a fuck. It's done. And it's done correctly. You know, this just was a job where it was like, no, you had to do it a certain way. Now, I know I fucked up, but my excuse was I didn't go to school for this shit. Y'all called me and I agreed to do it because you didn't give me the full details of the job. I thought I was going to be on the other side of the end of the job. All right. I thought I was going to do the physical labor of the job, but apparently they didn't want me to do that this go around. So it's y'all fuck up. Yeah, that's right. I blame y'all. It's y'all fuck up, you know, because if whatever I messed up. But just to say, again, there was a system in place. We had to do it that way. He continued taking issue with it. Now, he wasn't complaining throughout the entire thing, right? But there are moments where he just made that job extra miserable. And I'm not someone that likes this. I'm not a desk work type of person. I can't sit down at a computer all day. People may be assuming, well, you're a writer, right? Doesn't that mean you love writing? That means I love writing stories that I create. It don't mean I love writing, typing, documents about bullshit, about books and stuff that I have zero interest in. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is, right? Don't assume because people, like, it's like saying to somebody who, is a cat who works a cash register or whatever. Well, then you should be a math teacher. Yeah. Probably not the same analogy, but you get what I'm saying. Like, math is involved in both, but not everybody who's working a cash register should be a math teacher. First of all, from my understanding, the math is being done, or the machine does most of the math, right? When you're teaching, you got to do most of the math, right? You don't have a machine, you know what I'm saying, you're not just pushing numbers in and then the machine does the math and then you say, okay, class. Nah, that's not how it works when you're a math teacher, okay? So, yeah, that was kind of tangential, but yeah, OCD folk. Understand that the world is not going to capitulate to your disorder. And again, I'm going to use disorder in quotation marks, but the word disorder is in the actual term. So if you're offended by it, talk to, the World Health Organization, whoever the fuck coined the term. I didn't, so don't get mad at me. But, just the world doesn't have to capitulate to your disorder. If there's something that you really can't let go of, again, try to present that system, that way of doing, to whoever's in charge of creating said system. You might win them over. You might not. If you do not, and they're not ableist or prejudice or whatever the case is because they're like, nah, we're not doing it your way. We're doing it our way. And it could be a situation where your system actually is better. Prove to them that your system is better by either doing your system anyways and showing the results between how you've done it and how they want it to be done, and see how things are so much better when you do it your way, or continue to do it their way and show how fucked up the system is, and how if we were to do it actually this way, it's going to be better, right? The results are going to be what I would assume you would want the results to be. And this isn't even just something people with OCD could do. This is people without it as well. But I'm just saying advice, clinically giving advice, by the way. But just as advice, if I was someone who is that obsessed with doing things, having everybody do things the way that I wanted them to do it, those are the two approaches I would take. I would do things my way anyway, and then measure the results that of my system as opposed to the other system, or I would continue doing things their way and show why their way sucks. If they want to succeed, they're going to choose the system that works, whether that be your system or not. If they don't want to succeed, they're going to choose the system that sucks. Don't make that your issue, though. I know we all need a job, money, and all this other stuff, but you still getting paid, aren't you? Even if the system sucks, you're still getting paid. If it's more than just the money aspect to you, then, like I said, I think that's a situation where you need to present to them why your system is better, why you care more about the work than the paycheck that you're getting at the end of the week or end of 2 weeks or however often you're getting paid. Or find somewhere where they're going to honor your system. Choices, right? Just because you have a disorder doesn't mean you are incapable of making choices. You're very capable of making choices, like everybody else. And not everyone has to capitulate to your way of doing things. I just had to say that one more time before I go. So that's what I have. That's my little message to all the OCD folks out there. Y'all feel however you want to feel. All right. This is pretty light compared to when I first thought about this topic. And this is really light, actually, as compared to what I was saying in my mind when I first thought about this topic. And I wanted to rant to y'all. So, yeah. Yay for me.